This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
We are oval bound as qualifying is underway here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 70 laps worth of action here today and everything to play for over what is going to be a really entertaining event. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From Old Hampshire, it's Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth, calling this one as the first times get underway. Felipe Bear, Mr. 2K World Cup, tops the timing stands, 36.018 on his lap. They only have one. It is 1 lap, single lap shootout that we have going on at the moment. Championship standings then up on your screen at this moment, and well, it's not surprising to see who is at the top. It is Mr. 2K World Cup once again, who finds himself in primed position when it comes to this series, and all the rest looking to scrap and claw and find a way back in, as you can see up on your screen. But Brian Duell makes his way to second. It's Neil Kemp third, Mehdi Al-Fati fourth, Sasha Gall currently in fifth position. Simon Edwards, though, yet to set the time, nor is the oval specialist Tuan Tran, Anthony Cat, Andrew Picario. In fact, Andrew Picario moves up into third position over his lap. So very strong lap by his standards. The bombshell car of Kurt Crum then doing double duty from just a couple of hours ago. 2 hours he put in at Sebring in the major series. He's now got a lot of work to do on his lap, going to row 1.5 there on the lane that he's got, the 5 lanes that you have here at New Hampshire that you can effectively call grooves around here, but crossing where the road course would intersect, he battles his way into the second half to try and really push. Tuan Tran moves up into 6th position. Crum picking up work off of the exit, though. A lot of work to get over to the line. There's a big difference in terms of times, half a second or so. He does a 36.399. That's good enough for 12th position. Simon Edwards just behind makes his way to the line. 36.6 from him. That's only 25th position. He'll have a lot of work to do in this 29-car field. But worth saying, with everybody across the line, it seems that this is how gridding will stack up. Felipe Bear will start from the very, very front of this grid with Brian Duell alongside him on the front row. Row 2 will see Andrew Picario for Racecraft Engineering and Neil Kemp in the 81. Mehdi Al-Fati will start from 5th with Tuan Tran in 6th on row 3. Row 4 will see Sasha Gall and Colin Van Raam out there. Paul Malokas and Ronan Griffin round out row number 5. Ronan Griffin is very shocked to be inside the top 10. He is very happy with a career best qualification. Andrea Ironman and Kurt Crum are on row 6 with John Morgan, or Captain Morgan, we should say, in 13th with Carl Dronke. 14th, Christopher Crone then and Anthony Katz on row 8. Row 9 sees Edwin Viorino and Adrian Hendy with Scott Valeth and Hans Hoyer on row number 10. From there, it's Sebastian Schultz and Martin Cruz, Enzo Cantor and Justin Tipton, Simon Edwards, Harrison Bingham, John Sully, Rob Adams and Matthew Woolett for Pure Motorsport, rounding out for 29 vehicles out on grid today. Most crucially, though, you can get social with us here on RaceSpot TV. Of course, you can follow us on Facebook and on the Twitter machine. And not only can you do that, but you can also help sponsor us today or on any day, because we had some brilliant work in the 12 hours of Sebring, sponsoring ourselves with the charity that we have linked up with for this year. So we make sure that over the next few events that we got special events that you get a little sponsor going there. Pace, though, will be set by the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car for this one, and this is going to be a very tough race here at New Hampshire. 70 laps, so there will have to be a stop for fuel at some stage, but will that be under caution or will that not? A reminder that if the caution comes out with 5 laps or less to go, it is the end of the event. We will finish under caution. If an incident happens in the final lap, no worries at all. We go until the end. So between 5 and 2, that is the magical ending point. But so many drivers in this field, this is a chance to make a name for someone like Ronan Griffin, Colin Van Raam, maybe even Mehdi El Fati and Neil Kemp, who don't often find themselves up near the front of the field. A lot of work for them to do. For those like Simon Edwards, Justin Tipton, Enzo Cantor, they're surprisingly down the field at the moment, it has to be said. They've got 70 laps to really work hard to get themselves over to the line. So they've just got to make sure that this one all works out in favour for them at the moment. You've got 2 minutes to grid here, ladies and gentlemen, or they start from the dreaded place known as Pit Road, and it will be a long, long way from there, especially without any draft, which these skip barbers are so very heavily dependent on, and will be a key factor to racing today. Not necessarily, though, at New Hampshire. It's a lot smaller of an oval. I think it's very unique in terms of an oval design, so it is very much about how you pick up runs off the exit. You're not going to see massive runs at the likes of, say, a Charlotte or a Talladega or a Daytona or anything that it symbols a traditional oval sense, but they do have a lot of work to do here over the course of this race. Lights are off on top of the iRacing Mustang first safety car, which means we will have 1 pace lap and then we will get ourselves underway. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, of those who gets it done for us and One Designs, the official graphics partners here at RaceSpot TV, ATVO and Aptioneer, the official graphics engine. Of course, you have to thank Istvan Ballo's Track Cams 22 that you see right now. Our live timing and scoring, which will be available after lap 2 by Nick Thyssen, as well as our animations done by Simon Grossman. But to 3 and 4, they go along. Mr. 2K World Cup, seemingly unfallible at the moment. Every one of the rivals seemingly not in position to go out there and attack the way that they want to. At what point do you go and how hard do you attack? When it comes to New Hampshire, pace car dives in, massive, massive checkup, but there's the green and there's the go, and already I think Andrew Picario was the best placed out of them all. He'll immediately move to the middle and then up to the high line to try and get this one going, as we are green here at New Hampshire. No dramas to speak of then in the early stages, and it looked like maybe they were all going to check up and run into each other, but it's all fine for the moment. High side line, 3 up top trying to work it at the moment, as 3 on the bottom try to find themselves a good way to work. So Leibert at the moment holding advantage, but you'll see that high line coming to play the longer that this race goes on, and for the time being, after 1 lap being scored complete, it is Philippe Leibert who just has it at the line. By how much? Caution comes out, though, after 1 lap's worth of racing already. Issues in the early goings, so there is the big one, and this will be a single file restart to boot as well. Didn't quite see who it was that called the caution that just came out. Didn't quite see that one, but we do have ourselves a caution because of the 23 machine. That was Hans Hoyer, who was in the middle of the pack, heading himself through turn number 3 and 4, and just coming off at the exit, bang, hard into one of them, and very lucky that nobody else got collected in that one. So Hoyer gets dropped to the back of the pack, but very, very crucially, 1 lap's worth of racing done, and we will get ourselves 5 laps then under caution period. Precario, very crucially though, got the jump over on that first start, and he got himself to the race lead, so he will tick off some laps, and so will these drivers, who will be able to save a little bit of fuel, which they will so very much need to over the course of this one. Your movers though, inside of the top 10, Andrew Picario gained 2, Leibert lost 1, Brian Doell lost 1, Mehdi El Fati managed to gain 1, as did Tuan Tran, but it was Neil Kemp who struggled. He lost 3 positions over the course of that one. Sasha Gall lost a position as well, as Colin Van Raam decides he wants to go down onto pit road, and get a little bit of a top-up going. He's the only one who's really taken that decision to come down onto the lane, which is bold after just 1 lap's worth of racing, and one other will come in, and that is Rob Adams, who will look to come in and get a stop done. There is 1 fast repair here in this oval racing, so you do have that ability to get back out and back to racing again, but 2 takers on the lane. In the early stages, would I have given up track position from 8th position? Well, that's only Colin Van Raam's decision come the end, but we have seen how that high line does have that ability to come into play, and they will check off the first caution then of this event. Worth telling as well that Racecraft Engineering have been looking strong. No Brian Lockwood, though, very crucially for this one, which is not going to be what they want. A reduced field of 29 as well, which is not part of... well, it's actually a little bit easier, I think, for some of the drivers to really score a good result out here today. They all understand that points are needed aplenty. And just looking at the championship right now, no Diogo Francisco to speak of either. So main rival in the championship for Leibert, not here today. But Brian Dewell is, as is Simon Edwards, as is Tuan Tran and Andrew Picario. So you very much have to just stand and wait to see how this one is going to pan out. Of course, we are having single file restarts for this one, and we will be going green at the end of the next lap. And that much we can certainly say. So Picario will tick these laps off, save a bit of fuel, and hope to have a nice green flag run and get to a stage where a caution may be a little bit more helpful than it would be in other situations. But just looking a little bit further down the field, who is a good mover and shaker, Adrian Hendy has made great progress up 5 positions. Anthony Katz found 4 of his own. The Club UK&I driver Martin Cruz has found 4 positions. John Morgan may be the biggest loser of the lot. He's dropped 6 positions, mainly because he had to slam on the brakes to avoid his teammate Hans Hoyer, who is very firmly near the back of this one. Enzo Cantor as well, still towards the rear. He didn't make many positions early. Up 2 is Simon Edwards in the early goings. But 1 lap then to green, and they will be under a single file restart then for this one. And you've got to look at who could be aggressive on this restart. Sasha Gall has always been an aggressive driver in the races that we've seen of him, but you've got the likes of Leibert's got to really get on a motor quickly. Brian Dewell maybe has been pedestrian, but he does make his moves with a purpose. Mehdi El Fati, a lot to prove. Tuan Tran, the oval specialist, will just casually count off laps here and there. Kurt Crum won the Majors Indy 500 in European Split a good 8-9 months ago, and well, could he find more oval success when it comes to here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. But it's the man who formerly had white cars mattering, Andrew Picario, who will have control of the field as the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car dives down onto the lane. And Picario waits and waits and waits and waits and gets a green flag and goes. And immediately on the outside, someone's got an absolute stormer. You can only pass on the high side, remember, coming off of a restart. And that was some brilliant work. Up into 4th position goes Paul Malokas of Evolution Racing Team as he makes some great moves as they get themselves going clean for the moment then, as they make their way through 1 and 2, nice and calm in the background as they fan 3 wide in the middle of the pack almost, as that's Neil Kemp starting to drop back. Ronan Griffin in the middle of this as Leibert looks to go low side at the front of this field, trying to make sure that this one works for him. Nothing forthcoming at the moment, but has managed to prise open the inside lane, which is crucial as it is effectively a 3-car breakaway at the moment. Kurt Crum looking 3 wide down the inside as they make their way into 1 and looking to just wash out a little bit, unable to use much of the parabolic banking that's there. Great run off the exit though against Mehdi El Fati for Sasha Gall, picks up a position. El Fati struggling in the middle, and he will get freight trained right in the middle. He pinches very high on the outside, a certain I believe that's Carl Dronke there on the outside as El Fati struggles again and goes very, very low. I think there's damage as he tagged a wall. He will come down on the lane and he has to brake hard, and he may have just been speeding onto that said pit road. But look again here at Les Bear, again running the low side, trying to make that line work. But Brian Duell is only helping himself to the high side as now Les Bear starts thinking about maybe dropping himself back into position. No dice at the moment, doesn't want to, continues running the low line, and this is only allowing Malokas to catch up. Caution comes out, number 2 of the day here after 70 laps worth of racing action, and I personally didn't quite catch that one either, but there are 2 vehicles a lot further down in the pack for the moment. The 23 again getting involved, and that's Hans Hoyer for the 2nd time. He has not had a good 7 laps. He gets himself through turn number 1, and well, he just dives down a little bit low, and there's a tag just in front, and I think that there was with Enzo Cantor and Simon Edwards, and Cantor held his line. Edwards got a little low, and bang, up into Hans Hoyer he went, and I'm not quite sure here on this one whether Enzo Cantor managed to hold his line. It did look like he was just migrating up the track slightly, struggling with understeer, and it was Cantor moving up into that 2nd lane. Always difficult, but bang, Hans Hoyer got himself up and over, and the rest of the field now has to find a way to get around that one. So Simon Edwards getting himself very heavily involved, and will have to come down onto pit road and get rid of the damage to that rear wing. And it is very telling, actually, just how buckled and bent that is. But for the time being, Precario again in control of this field at the front, but that is probably about the best of his worries at the moment. Hans Hoyer involved twice, this time an innocent bystander, that time an incident towards the rear of the field. Sometimes some drivers don't quite have as much of a proficiency for oval as some others do, as Rob Adams gets more service time done and gets out and away, along with Simon Edwards looking to get out and away once again. So they will drop back a little bit here in this one. Hans Hoyer, the only driver who will be classified as a lap down after 2 cautions worth of actions in the early goings. And they have to be a little bit careful about this. There's been a few incidents at the back, not necessarily at the front, but we saw how on the restart, how everyone just got a little bit nervous as they went off and they got going, and that was not really the plan that many people have been searching for, have been looking for here. They're looking to try and just have an easy run, a green flag run, probably the easiest of the lot, because if they have to continue to use this stop-start nature here of cautions, as they traditionally say, breed more cautions, and this race will become a very, very long one indeed. Just a reminder as well that if they do not make all 70 laps, 55 minutes is the other alternative, and right now we're sitting at around 10 minutes worth of racing in the next moment or so. So they are saving that fuel, they are gaining that time in terms of the stop, but for the moment at least, nobody really willing to come in and make that stop just yet, because of course they feel about a third of the tank they need to get rid of before they decide they need to come down in and make that stop. Just the way that they have to work on strategy, it's about a tank and a half that they run over the course of this race, or even a tank and a third. And I think these drivers will want to try and get at least a third of the way through this race and get themselves to about lap 23, lap 24, before we will be seeing anyone making bold strategy calls to come down onto pit road. The latest, the absolute latest you can leave this one is probably around lap 46-ish, lap 47. I think you can't go much longer than that, but we could even see drivers go to about lap 50 with the amount of fuel saving and pacing that has been done at 88 kilometers an hour. But the lights have just come off of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car, which is going to mean that it will be coming down onto the lane this time by for a single file restart. Andrew Picario is in full control of this field. Philippe Leibert second, Brian Duell in third, Paul Malokas fourth, and it is Sasha Gall who has got himself up into fifth. Carl Dronke, a big gainer. He's up from 14th to 7th position. Anthony Catt has moved himself up into 9th. Adrian Hendy now inside the top 10 in this one. Martin Cruz up 6 positions. And you look a little bit further down, there are big gainers up and down the field. But the pace car will dive down, off onto the apron and off of pit road, because we are going to start lap 14 here out of 70. And let's get ourselves underway in just a moment. Check up, check up, check up. Green flag, let's go. And Andrew Picario gets a good start, and already they're starting to look on the outside. Neil Kemp looking to go for it as they go on the outside and try and make it 3 into turn number 1. They've got to go careful about this. There's Sasha Gall in this one as well, just in front actually, and they managed to hold it together. Cat can't do anything, but Kemp can on the outside and makes it work as they make their way into 3 and 4 on their 14th lap around the circuit. No worries then off of this restart. 3 wide though, they go in the background, and that's Woollett there with likes of Enzo Cantor, I think, and also Van Raam, I think, is just in front of them as well. So they're all going at it here in the back of the pack too. Kurt Crum 2 wide at the moment as he tries to battle it out with Christopher Chrome, and Chrome at the moment looks a bit like Internet Explorer in the fact that he can't get enough pace and enough speed to make his way through. Again though, Leibert battling on the inside at the front of this field and is not in position at the moment to make this move happen as he looks to get himself up on a real nice charge through, but again not picking up that run off the exit is compromising and hurting at the moment. Still, Neil Kemp tries to battle it out in the middle of the pack as Leibert gets a great run through turn number 1 as they all start jostling a little bit for position, starting to calm it down just a little bit. And again, it's the fact of both lanes, second and thirds, are pretty equal high and low line to begin with, so you will see struggles lap on lap on lap of trying to find that position, but a wide line by Precario up front. This could open the door for the positive sim racing car of Brian Duell to go low, and they're gonna go 3 wide for the race lead here on lap 17 down into turn number 1, and Brian Duell's going to be stuck on that low line, pushes up Philippe Leibert high, and ultimately has to sacrifice all his run. That's checked the entirety of that front pack up, and Paul Malokas is going to be opportunistic and look down to the inside to try and make a move sorted. And can he get that done? Well, on that low line he's got no help, but he finally gets it midway through the corner. They're trying to push Brian Duell out of this one, and they're not quite going to be able to do so as Malokas is pretty much on his own on the bottom line. It's single track, but there's a caution that has just come out, and that was not part of the plan at all. That one, again, a little bit further back in the pack that we saw that one, so not ideal at all. And there was a bit of contact with the 28 that time by John Sully, getting himself caught up in that one, and they just drilled sideways. Cantor ultimately left on the low line with nowhere to go in that instance. He could have dived it massively low. He probably tried to find a way high. There was no way of telling where John Sully was going to go after the contact that he had with Harrison Bingham just in front, who he just picked the nose up. And I have to say it was a little late there from Harrison Bingham there before that one. I believe Simon Edwards also got a tap in that one, but was able to save it. But we have the 3rd caution in 18 laps worth of racing, which means that it is just one of those things where that back of the pack has just been clipping each other and just having a little tap here and there. Nothing massive. We haven't seen a big one as of yet, and in reality, we only saw one vehicle spun, which was the reason why that caution came out. But none of these really big Daytona-style crashes where you have 8, 10, 15 into the wall at any one time, and that's probably a good thing for the majority of the field, as they will get more laps done under pacing conditions. Again, Andrew Precario doing well, and he's going to make that bold call, is he? No, he sells the dummy to go down onto the lane, and no one bought it. So really just a case of a missed opportunity there as nobody decides it's time to come in and make that big stop. Colin Van Raam teases it, but thinks better of it, but Matthew Woollett decides he wants to come down on the lane, and Rob Adams is going to do the thing where you're going to pit every single time because you're at the back of the field, and I don't blame him there. He will get fresh tyres on everybody else, which is about saying that, like, my Oreo's got one less crumb in it than your Oreo has, but certainly will gain that advantage as Hans Hoyer will go around the outside to get a lap back in this race. John Sully is officially out of this one as the first retiree out of the 29 that we've had. But still though, it is Precario, Leibert, Duell, Malokas, Sasha Gall. The top 5 remain unchanged from the last go-around that they had. And what I find very telling is that Andrew Precario is not in a position here to really defend, or he doesn't want to ultimately defend the high side the same way that they would in the eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing, and the fact that you can only overtake off a restart around the outside. So a way to counter that, and what is seen a lot when it comes to the iRacing Indianapolis 500 as well, is you go all the way up to the wall to make sure that nobody can ever have that chance of getting past you before the start-finish line. So that's just something to keep in mind as we get our lapping back going again, and just worried a little bit about Simon Edwards, who does have a big amount of damage to his front wing, and that is going to be costing him around a track which you do need that downforce. It's not much here in these skip barbers, but it will be enough here as drivers will look to try and make pushes up through the field. Still though, we've got drivers who have made good gains, and it's effectively everyone from about 8th to about 18th have gained positions, apart from Ronan Griffin, who has gone one direction, and that is backwards in this one, as everyone starts asking themselves, wait, do I have damage? Is there a little bit that I've got that's not ideal at all? Enzo Cantor may be a little bit worried about the fact that he could have damage. He has no way to tell, of course, until he gets back to green flag racing. He may start dropping backwards further and further over the course of this one. But lights off on top of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car. We'll get back to action on lap 23 here of 70. We are right around that window where someone could feasibly come in, pit, get fuel, and get back out and start racing again. But this may be, if cautions continue at this rate, go to a race which ends on time more rather than laps, and nobody wants to see that be the way that this race ends. They want to see green flag running, but 3 very quick cautions, one after another after another. We've officially at the moment been under caution more than we have been under the green flag's worth of action. 15 laps under caution, 7 laps under green. It's time we about change that one. iRacing Ford Mustang safety car will peel off into the apron and then onto pit road. The pace again behind Andrew Picario, who sits and waits and waits and gets the green flag. And let's get ourselves underway as Neil Kemp again gets a good start and starts looking high side here on Tuan Tran. Doesn't quite get the run that's needed here. Middle of the pack though, here is Anthony Catt trying to get down the inside of Carl Dronke on the outside, who runs a very high line. He's going to wash out there right on that high side, which is not ideal at all, but is just able to get that position with superior drive. As now here comes the move from Tuan Tran, trying to push up to help his teammate here of Philippe Lebert get a little bit of help. Of course, there's no bump draft rule as well, so you're not going to be seeing them get that aggressive, but for the time being, going to try and run that high line on Sasha Gall, who is effectively robbed on the inside. Lebert now goes to the inside, looking to try and take it away from a certain Andrew Picario, and at the moment it seems that nothing has worked so far for Lebert, who starts migrating up the track, but still Picario is in a position. He needs help from his lane, and he will get it in 2 forms. One is Brian Duell, the other is Paul Malok, as everyone is effectively running the Darlington line. It's high, and if you want to overtake, go low. At the moment it seems to be the way to go. So for the time being, they're working hard, working well. Lebert picking up advantage now as that high line gets a little bit worn in, and they are nose to tail as they cross the line, dead even as they cross the stripe in Lebert's favour. That's how close they were in that one, as they all look to try and battle it out and try and get going. Mehdi Al-Fati though had a big moment coming off of turn number 4 almost, and that has really checked that second pack up, which is now effectively Al-Fati and the rest who cannot stay with Ronan Griffin. 16 in a line except Lebert, who goes down to the inside once again looking for the move, and I don't think he's going to quite get it just yet. And the answer is no. He's half a car length away from picking up the race lead, as now Sasha Gall looks to get back at Tuan Tran. Thought about it, thought better of it, as they now make their way again into 1 and 2, and still no chances available at this stage. They're still thinking about, okay, single file might be the best. Not in the second line, as there's contact between Enzo Cantor and John Morgan. Captain Morgan maybe looking like he just needs a bit more help, and maybe Simon Edwards got to the wall here. Cantor goes low though, looking to make the move. Is just in front. There's Scott Valeth trying to find himself a way down to the inside. Power move coming from Harrison Bingham, and he tapped a certain Scott Valeth, but they hold it together just for the moment as they continue on racing, though, with green flag running. They've got to be careful, though, about how much that they start getting into each other. This pack at the front also starting to just check up ever so slightly here. As just looking back, Anthony Cat under pressure from Carl Dronke. Kurt Crum is now the part on the rear as Christopher Chrome is looking for a chance to really attack, but he is nowhere. Caution, though, comes out, and that was maybe coming because Harrison Bingham has been turned around in the second pack, as that one has happened with Sebastian Schultz on the outside. And to get a replay of this, Schultz caught on the outside there. Scott Valeth was there on the inside, and Schultz just gets forced down a lane he doesn't want to go. Contact, he loses the front end. Bingham gets caught up in it as well, and the pair of them end up in a world of trouble in the infield. It's the fourth caution, and they actually make contact trying to get back going again. Such is the calamity of errors between them. But 4 cautions in 28 laps worth of running, and now it's still Andrew Picario who holds control at the front of the field. It seems only when it matters. But Picario holds that position, holds the line that is so revered and so wanted when it comes to the racing. But the next question becomes pit stop window. It should open pit road right about now, and Anthony Cat makes the bold call to dive down onto the lane, and I think probably about half a dozen in the second pack's deciding, well, I can get my fuel done early and try and work my way up to the front when everyone else decides it's time to come in. In are the likes of Enzo Cantor, Ronan Griffin is in, as is Viorino, Colin Van Ram for the second time. Martin Kruth decides he wants to come in, as does John Morgan, and on cue, Rob Adams is going to take a pit stop every single time he can, along with Sebastian Schultz, and the question is who's going to get off of pit road the fastest. That one's a no-brainer. That's going to be Anthony Katz, who will gain that advantage. He fully fuels the tank, but the rest, though, they're going to try and race their way out, since Griffin has dropped behind the likes of Cruz and Rob Adams, who will, remember, not have to take fuel as much every single time, because he's taking a little bit more fuel every single time he goes around. So he is taking that tank back up to maximum and effectively having shorter pit stops and gaining track position that way, in terms of he is gaining himself maybe on those who already decide they want to come down in and make a stop. The second group tried to come in. Carl Dronke had a little bit of a moment, and the second lot involved Duell. Paul Malocus dived down on the lane. Neil Kemp, Kurt Crum, and it was it was Neil Kemp that Carl Dronke very nearly ran into when it came to making that stop and making it correct. So Enzo Cantor will be back in for a second time, I think, for speeding on pit exit, which won't be what he wants to do. No pit limiters in these Skip Barbers, but a bold call to come in the second time around. And because it was that second time around they came along, they will be put right at the back of the field, even behind those who already have made a stop. So those like Anthony Cat are in a much better position here to attack this next stage, with about a baker's dozen staying out then over the course of this stop. Precario's had to stay out because of Philippe Lebert. Cannot afford to give him track position, cannot afford to give him laps led. Remember, for every 3 laps you lead, there's an extra bonus point available, and those championship points add up to the end of the season, and Philippe Lebert knows that better than anybody else, as Precario decides to dive down onto the lane and he bites the bullet and goes. So that's very bold, as Simon Edwards will decide he wants to follow in. They're all pitting at different times and wanting different track position to try and make their ways through. And I don't think that was the right call there by Precario, unless he's looking to hit a number on lap 31 or has underfueled the car to begin with, which is another bold strategy point in question. But he does not have long at all in terms of this restart, because the lights are off on top of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car. He's got to get up to speed and back onto the rear of the pack as quickly as he possibly can before Philippe Lebert gets himself to the restart, and he will be able to do so, get onto the rear of Hans Hoyer, as he will try to make positions up through this field. Crucially, though, it is now TT Racing 1 and 2. Tuan Tran and Philippe Lebert. Sasha Gall finds himself in third, with Christopher Chrome fourth, and Andrea Iman for TT Racing rounds out the top 5. iRacing Roof First safety car will make a dive down onto pit road. How late will Lebert leave it? Question is, he will leave it till now. There's a green flag, and let's get ourselves underway. And everyone checks up and goes high side, low side, and they're going to be 4 wide, are they? Into turn number 1. What a jump! From the middle of the pack they go as they streamline it 3 wide. I think that was Justin Tipton who took advantage and got absolutely everywhere. They're still 3 wide as they come off the exit with a Piccadilly Circus start as they go through for the next one. Chrome stuck on the outside, trying to find a way through, but nothing forthcoming at the moment. Tran runs high, Tipton looking low as he started from 24th in this one, as those who have yet to pit decide it's time that we start battling it out. Contact though in the middle, Colin Van Ram involved, bang hard into the wall. That will force a caution out as he flips up and over in a scary, scary crash, and he was bringing one with him too. That was Matthew Woolett in the Pure Motorsports machine. Woolett gets he's lucky he hasn't got a bit of the wall actually, but that is another caution. And now the next question becomes, after 5 cautions have come out in 33 laps, is everyone just being a bit too aggressive? Those restarts have been a big point of contention over the course of this one, and they have to be so careful not to check it up. I think there's a rule that says you cannot overtake before the start-finish line, but everyone is just sitting and waiting. Tipton immediately dives down in onto pit road, along with Andrea Ayman, along with Matthew Woolett, who feels like he's not got a choice in the world because of that rear wing potentially that could have caused a little bit of troubles. But we are at the halfway stage of the race, but not of time, which is very, very crucial. So this is going to be a very tough one for those who are looking to try and get some big racing out there. They've not really had too much in terms of green flag runs, and there are still a dozen plus who need to come down in and make that stop. In terms of who made big gains, Anthony Catt was probably best placed out of the lot. He's now got himself up into 9th position here, with the likes of Rob Adams just behind. Andrea Ayman has come down in on the lane and made the stop. But those like Scott Vallès, Hendy and co are all coming in because the leaders are in, and staying out, of course, is Anthony Catt. Also coming in again is Rob Adams. And now everyone deciding, okay, we can't go much further. We're about halfway. It's time to make that stop. So who's going to be best on the lane, and who is going to be able to get out and away in the quickest amount of time? Who dares short fill, actually, and save a bit, banking on another caution? That's another little strategy that could come into play. And looking at who's going to get out and away first, Rob Adams, of course, because he's got less to put in that he's got to deal with. And crucially, Sasha Gall gets ahead of where he needs to be. Mehdi Al Fati, they're too wide on the apron. Go careful. Al Fati decides to drop back. But very, very crucially, it's behind Woolett. No, we'll get ahead of one driver, not 2. So they get past Tipton. I think they are going to just get by Woolett as well, I think, as some are deciding to make their way onto pit road again. Enzo Cantor is one of them who is deciding it's time to get on the lane. But it is Anthony Catt, Martin Cruz, and then Ronan Griffin in 3rd position. The way this field looks, 4th and 5th are currently Edwin Viorino and Brian Duell for the University Isabel I's positive sim racing team, which is a very crucial thing to keep in mind as well, because team warfare and team tactics may come into play in the latter stages of this one. So we haven't seen too much of Anthony Catt, though, at the front of the field. He was the first real player to make a big pit stop, and he has gained so much by doing so, and he is making sure that he can get himself through. Other gainers of this has been Sebastian Scholes. John Morgan has done well out of the pit stops, and Andrew Picario finds himself about middle of the pack then. After all of this, 13th position after leading the opening stages of this race. But this is far from over here at New Hampshire, and they know it's far from over as the clock has ticked over half an hour in terms of this one. They've got 25 minutes to go. That can very easily be done without a caution, but we are just over halfway, lap 36 of 70. And they've only got 25 minutes to go. On current rate, we'll be finishing around lap 60 or so. 10 laps short if they continue at a rate of cautions, which reaches the number of 9 around this track. 10, and that will be done. But lights off on top of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car. We will go green, this time by on lap 38 here out of 70. And for the moment, it seems that it's a little bit of a higgledy-piggledy, humble-jumbled up field, and they've all just got to make sure that they run clean and effective times and make sure that they keep themselves out of trouble. It has been towards the rear that we have seen that, but of course on that last restart, it was right dead center in the middle that we saw the big incident happen. So far, only 2 retirements then from this event. John Sully and Colin Van Raam are the 2 who have not found themselves with any luck here today. We are down to 27 drivers racing, and all of them on the leading lap at this stage. So for Anthony Catt, for the first time today, he will have control of the field in the number 25 machine. Pace car dives down onto pit road, and Anthony Catt decides, you know what, let's go early, because going late has been really detrimental to the racing. It's green again here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, as now everyone just starts thinking about where do we start looking here, as the front 4 have elongated out then after a very quick run, and this is not really giving many a chance as Harrison Bingham tries to attack Andrew Picario, but that will put him under pressure then from Simon Edwards. Maybe there was a bit of contact that was going on between them, as now just in front of them, Picario starts to go offensive on Carl Dronke. Crum trying to get past Captain Morgan, and again too high, way too high, Harrison, as Bingham hits the wall and tries to save it. Are we staying green from this one? Yes, we are. Everyone's going to dive down low. Bingham is going to have to come down onto the lane at some stage, but we are staying green here at New Hampshire, and thankfully so for some. Carl Dronke, though, still holding a good position as he keeps going well, but Viorino's now going at it too wide with his own teammate. That's not part of the script, and not being in the draft on the Darlington line is going to really start hurting, as Duell takes a slightly higher line compared to Ronan Griffin, who is keeping that draft of Cruz, keeping the draft of Anthony Catt. Again, there's another position that's going to be freight trained off, as there goes Paul Malocas, there goes Sebastian Scholz, get in line, and he does so taking it away from Neil Kemp, who looks low line to try and make that move. Ronan Griffin now under pressure here and gets caught low as Brian Duell zooms by on the clearly superior high line here around this New Hampshire track, and now all of a sudden Paul Malocas starts thinking about the inside as there's a little half look for the race lead. No dice at this stage, but now Sasha Gould starts trying to be attacking here as well, a little bit further back, because there's Leibert making a way through on Rob Adams, and Tuan Tran will be next to Freight Train and does so Freight Train. So this is working out really nicely in favour if you can just find a position here and there. There's Brian Duell going down to the low line to try and get by a certain Mr. Martin Cruz, and not quite there just yet. Can he migrate up the track? No, he has to lead the lane. There was overlap between them, so good heads up driving there from the Canadian Duell, who will now have to continue that low line through 3 and 4, and this is what the battling is going to assimilate as Neil Kemp gets under pressure, or puts the pressure on Ronan Griffin, who started going backwards a little bit, but look at the line. Duell's able to get off of the bottom. He's now starting to think about, can I attack Anthony Catt for the race lead? Yes, I can attack Catt for the race lead, and he will do, as the low line again gets attacked by Malocas here, trying to get past Cruz. So all of a sudden, that high line, after being used so much, suddenly becomes the undesirable one as overtakes happen, and we have a change for the race lead. 2 go low, looking to make moves. One is Malocas, the other one is Scholz, and Scholz gets right out of it then, scared of maybe making contact with Cruz, but Anthony Catt runs the line well high because he's got the draft of Brian Duell to help him along. Will he get boxed though on the outside, and Duell starts to half defend that inside as the top 5 starts scrapping it out a little bit harder here in this one. Second pack though, Picario has made his way by Viorino, John Morgan, Kurt Crum, Carl Dronke in there. Edwards struggles as well from Sasha Gould, and they'll start breezing on by. There is a tyre difference, not much, but telling enough over the course of this one, as again Malocas still trying to run that low line and probably needs a friend, as right now there's just that little bit of a higher line as Christopher Crome does not sound too happy over the radio. I think he's just run himself into all sorts of issues near the back of this one, as he and Matthew Woolett have dropped a lot of time compared to those in front. They'll work together and try and catch up Andrea Ayman and co. They will be banking on a caution. They're 3 wide around Leibert. Sasha Gould goes high side with Kurt Crum, and they get around Leibert. So That one in the middle was not part of the script as they fan out in front of them as well. Still, that low line starting to struggle a little bit as they can't work the high line. The different tyre temperatures coming, track state temperatures as well, brought in by iRacing's dynamic track, which has been one of the big new, not necessarily a new feature, but one of the big features of oval racing that has demonstrated how difficult this style of racing can be, has been telling. 3 of the top 5 started outside of the top 15. That tells you how jumbled up things are, as Carl Dronke will look to go down the inside of John Morgan here, a little bit lower down in the pack, but he runs out of momentum, and Sasha Gall will go high side, looking to try and find a move. Good defensive line by Captain Morgan. He blocked both lanes fantastically and has checked up the run just a little bit. Precario, though, is making his way onto the main train, which has seemingly stalled out behind Brian Doyle here, who leads this one on lap 46. Everyone has made their stops, and now they are just banking on going as long as they possibly can over the course of this one. It becomes a tactics game at 2/3 distance at the moment, and it has been that long green flag run which maybe everyone's been looking for at the moment. As again, there's Sasha Gall fighting it out with John Morgan, not quite finding anything though, but gets it down the inside and can start stealing the lane as Crum goes incredibly high. They're 3 wide, a little bit further back of them as well. Here as Twan goes through, Leibert almost gets an attack from Simon Edwards, which wouldn't have been ideal to the slightest, but he drops back in the train as they fall 2 wides once again, as they desperately need to get onto that front pack, which at the moment Andrew Picario is starting to work on here, has caught Neil Kemp and now has that opportunity to go out there and maybe be aggressive. It is a line of 8 at the front of this one, as everyone now starts thinking about where am I best placed, with just 20 laps to go coming in a few minutes time. And now they start thinking about it. Well, is this the right decision? Have I made the right call? Second pack looks dicey, but they've got to work together. They are 1.1 behind Andrew Picario, 35.8 against the leading driver, Doel's 35.9. But look at Malokas start to try and put the pace up for Evolution Racing Team. Of course, they've got their new merger with Apex Racing Team. Now they're called formerly Apex Racing UK. And now look at that. Scholes starts thinking again to the inside, which he's not been brilliant at battling with, but they remain 2 wide for the race lead here as Doel and Malokas, 2 of the veterans, you could say, of 2K World Cup racing folklore, now try and find their time in the sun. Anthony Catt trying to get in on this as well, but he's going to have to play that patience game as they are both catching Enzo Cantor, who is lap traffic, and they'll have to go around the outside of the Movano man at some stage here, unless we get a caution in the next few moments. Second pack, though, it's Kurt Crum. Oh, no, there's trouble. John Kay gets into the rear of Gall, into Malokas. Leibert gets caught in it. Tran gets caught in it as well. And the big one happens on the backstretch, lap 49. And that was all coming off of a great run from Dronke. He just didn't get out of it. He looked low, decided he needed to go back high again, and just had no confidence in slowing it down. Bang was the hit. And just like that, 4 or 5 take a massive shunt as they go down into the lane. It's a long time for Leibert, who will have to go in. Twan try and flip 2 or 3 times on the roll, who he will look to go and get himself some repairs as well. A big incident at the worst possible time. I hate to say I jinxed it, but unfortunately I jinxed a very good green flag run that they had. But it is Brian Doel who has control of the field now, with just 20 laps to go here at New Hampshire, and time looking very much of the essence as well, as they will start getting a little bit more desperate, looking for positions. Reminder, if a caution comes out with 5 laps to go, anywhere between 5 and 2 laps to go, the race will end under caution. If something happens in the final lap, no caution, we go all the way to the end. But very crucially, it is Brian Doel who considers himself very good on an oval, finds himself at the front, and he hasn't had a win in forever and a day. Paul Malokas hasn't had a season, I think, for 2 seasons now, where he's picked up a race victory. And there are a lot of first-timers who want to get themselves onto the victory lane, shall we say. Anthony Catt, Martin Cruz, Sebastian Schultz, Roland Griffin, for example. But Precario has been the one who's been making those positions through the field. He wants to find himself with a rare victory now and get himself there for racecraft engineering and really boost his title hopes, especially with Leibert now towards the rear, and maybe might not be scoring points and may have to take this as one of his 2 drop rounds that he will have available to him in this series. So never quite ideal, never quite what you want. Carl Dronke will finally decide it's time to come down onto the lane. He decided it wasn't worth it the first time round, but will come in that second time by. Hans Hoyer is on pit road and he is pretty much done, as is Harrison Bingham. Day and done in this one. We are down to 25 running here in this one, and these open wheel vehicles are a lot less forgiving, even with the slower paces, than those who are very much in closed wheel Gen 6 style action when they get onto the track. But for the time being at least, it is Brian Dewell's advantage to lose, as he will have control of the field for the very first time under a caution period. Caution 6 of the day that we have had, and it's been small incidents towards the rear. That time the second pack got caught in the big one, and those in the front 8 or so will be very happy at the fact that they had themselves in a very good position. Someone else who will be very happy, Christopher Crome, will be one of those who will be happy, along with Matthew Woolett in the Pure Motorsports car, because both of them were off the back of the final pack and they needed to get back into it as quickly as possible. How is the best way to get back? Well, having a caution certainly does help proceedings if you do get caught up in the action. But Brian Dewell running pretty much underneath the safety car at the moment. As the lights come off of it, we will get back to green flag running on lap 54 of 70. There will be 17 laps of racing left to go. The potential for 3 more cautions to come out. We hope that we don't get any as we get ourselves the rundown to the end of this race. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And of course, you can get live timing and scoring in this one. If there's a vehicle you haven't caught on, racespot.tv/timing. You can find yourself getting on there. But pace car makes its way through 3 and 4 and will make its way down onto pit road as the 7th start of this race will look to get underway. Pace behind the Canadian Brian Dewell. And, well, he's going to go early or late. Late is the call. And he gets himself going. And look at the jump from Ronan Griffin. Blocked as a now low side after the start-finish line. What a jump that we have just seen there. That was beautifully timed, as now battling for 2nd position he will go, and not gonna quite get there. Use all the tools at your disposal and ultimately gets low-lined on the Darlington line, as he doesn't quite get what he wants. He has to jump back high, as now stuck on the bottom is going to be another driver, Andrew Pecario on high. It is Neil Kemp who is stuck low, but now this race, Brian Dewell has managed to pull out maybe a 6-car length advantage at the front of this field, maybe even 5, but they've got to work together in this second pack. It's 4.5 tenths of a second. They can't win this race unless they get it to side by side, and that's the only thing they've got to think about right now, just getting themselves timed and in position to go out there and have a good run. At the moment, it's about who does get good runs off of the exit. One of them was Adrian Hendy trying to make a way past John Morgan. He's not going to be able to get that one as they look to go into 3 and 4. 15 laps to go then at the stripe, and they look to try and push a little bit harder. Schultz starts struggling a little bit in the middle of the corner. This is allowing Pecario on that high line to start working as Kruth moves to the inside of Ronan Griffin, who maybe doesn't have the pace overall, is relying on that draft. He goes uber high, trying to chop back down and get as much from gravity as he can. And, well, in the gravitas of the situation, he gets the position. Cruz tries to find himself in a lane, but Pecario has the outside as they start fanning out almost 4 wide, but it goes Noah's Ark 2x2. On the uber inside is Kemp, who will not be happy about that. Cruz blocks high as Pecario will look to thread the needle low and move himself into the top 5 once again. He's been the best driver all day long. Here comes Paul Malocas, though, looking for the race lead here as he goes low line here at turns 1 and 2, and he's not quite finding what he needs at the moment, but gets a good mid corner and will now start pushing the exit. Anthony Catt gets a great run as well, and he needs to be brave if he wants to make this work, but not too brave just yet. They've still got time left in this event if they want to make the move to try and go for it, as there's a little push high on Sasha Gore as he tries to get past Mehdi El Fati, I think that is, in the background there in the number 77, and he can't quite get that done. He falls into line and he'll have to go low. As just behind that, Edwin Viorino has to defend this one from Simon Edwards, as again low line taken by Paul Malocus. PJ's trying to move. Leibert is right at the back with Tran. They will try and get points. Scott Valletha's gone around, and crucially, not in front of anybody. So this race continues under green at this stage of the race. So that was not the plan for Scott Valeth, but he's done it on his own, not in front of anyone. No caution needs to come out. Nobody was at danger. But now the question becomes, will he be caught, or will any traffic be caught at the moment? Because now Precario's up into fourth. He's making moves, as now they've got 12 to go at this stage. And still, it's Paul Malocus and Brian Duell at the front trying to battle. Now you start seeing a look for third potentially now coming along for a certain Andrew Precario. Anthony Katz left going, come on, I need to get through, I need to find a way. And he's not got anything. The Noah's Ark, 4 in. Mehdi El Fati almost gets a bit of contact there in the background then. And that was on Sebastian Schultz, and very nearly found himself in a bad position. But that one continued as Kruth hits the lane and is out of contention then for the race victory. Still, it's a case of, can I get in and make the move? Someone's got to be the aggressor. As when they next cross the line, there will be 10 laps of racing to go. And now Anthony Cat thinks going uber low. 3 wide. They go towards turn numbers 3 and 4. And Anthony Cat decides it's time to get the stick out and time to get aggressive. He holds a very low line and he takes full advantage. He's got the lead, and now Precario tries to get in. He gets blocked by Malocus, as now they go 2 wide and then 3 wide just behind us. On that low line was Martin Kruth, trying to get in. It was Scott Valeth earlier that pitted. El Fati again gets loose, and this time he'll turn, and that will cause a caution as he gets, I believe, a little tag, and that means that we will have ourselves 6, maybe even 5 laps to go here in this one before the end of the event. And that came at the worst possible time for a certain Mehdi El Fati. He was worrying on those tyres, gets a little tap on the rear, and then gets a massive hit on Viorino, I believe it was, that he managed to collect. Mehdi El Fati brings out caution 7, and now there's not long left to go before the end of this one. All of a sudden, Paul Malocus has control right at the pointy end of this one, with a single file restart to boot as well. It is Duell second, Cat third, Precario fourth, and Martin Kruth, who finds himself in 5th position. Next 5, Griffin, Kemp, Schultz, Gall, and Andrea Ayman. A crucial caution comes in for Tran and Leibert, who are 21st and 22nd. Out on track, and they will now have the chance to gain maybe a couple of positions come the end of this one. But do not expect anybody to dive down in unless they're right at the rear of this one. Look like they have a chance maybe on some fresh tyres to go and make this one work. It is fully in the hands of the 4 and Paul Malocus at this stage of the event. But we saw how they got 2 wide. We saw how Anthony Cat pushed it 3 wide. You can run the low line at the very death. Whoever's on that inside in the 2nd row coming to the end, they may have the biggest chance of the lot, but they know that they cannot afford to see anybody wreck between now and the end of this one. They cannot afford to see any Skip Barber material find themselves in the wall, not only for now, but because it would be a missed opportunity in the championship, especially when the next round of the championship heads to Sebring International Raceway in 2 weeks' time at the start of the iRacing 2nd season of 2019. But now it's a case of who do you hedge your bets on. The driver who's been at the front of the field has generally only had to worry about 2nd. It does seem to suggest like the top 2 are probably favourites, but maybe Cat, maybe Precario if he gets aggressive. Whoever gets a great jump off of the start on the high side, they may have the great run that could bring themselves over to victory. How do you defend it, PJ Malocus? How do you decide you want to battle this one out towards the end? That is the question that will need to be asked out of him. In terms of the big gainers, well, Anthony Cat 16th up to 3rd, Martin Kruth 22nd up to 5th. You got Sebastian Schultz 21st up to 8th. Simon Edwards up into 11th from 25th without really showing too much pace and getting involved in a scrap here or there. And it does show you that it doesn't matter where you start when it comes to races like these. It's often where you finish that is the big determination, which is the big result that you find out. For example, if you looked at the Majors Daytona 500, the driver who started last managed to pick up the victory, and that was Dan Marcantonio. But Paul Malocas now has a job to do, and that is to defend the world and its neighbour behind as the track cools down, as a bit of cloud cover comes over New Hampshire. Maybe a case of setting the scene for the final few laps of running that they are going to have. Lights are expected to come off of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car this time by, and they do when we start back up, where we'll have 5 laps worth of racing here at New Hampshire, the 1.7 kilometers run that they have here. So for the time being, it's going to be a big effort then for Malocas. The biggest 5 laps he's probably had in a little while here at New Hampshire. It's time to prove your mettle. It's time to go green to the end, as Andrew Picario wants to say. He wants it green to the end. He doesn't want to be stuck with 4th position, as Paul Malocas gets a bonus point in a little bit. When does he go? Brian Doyle has got to be switched on against his former teammate to understand when and where is the right time to strike. And for the 88, it has been forever and 3 years, I think, since Brian Doyle has last picked up a major victory. But can he find himself in a position one more time to pick that up? Can Anthony Catt get his first? Can Precario find himself with a championship fight? iRacing Mustang safety cars in, green flag goes, and we are underway. 5 laps to go at New Hampshire. A caution ends it from here at this stage. Looking a little bit further back in the pack, Schultz tries to go low as Precario instantly goes low. Has no choice, has to get aggressive straight away, and nothing at the moment. Brian Doyle's got to start thinking about this one. Where do I need to be at what time at the right time? Anthony Catt decides he wants to use all of the draft to think about going low. He backs out of it. Everyone starts stacking it up as now Precario goes high line trying to pick something up. Cruz is there just in 5th position waiting from 6th on back. It's nothing at the moment in terms of the battle for this lead, as now making moves on Sasha Gall. I believe was trying to be Edwin Viorino. Too wide, too deep they go. Cat's in prime position here. Catbird seat with 4 left on the laps, and they will maybe just have to end this one a little bit early if they're not careful. Time is mighty close with 4 to go. We're at 53.19. Question will become, will it be this lap or the one before the last, which we finish on? This is going to be marginally close. A caution will pretty much end this one prematurely, but now it's Brian Doyle fully in control. Anthony Catt gets robbed to the Darlington line, and now bang to the inside goes Paul Malocas, and now suddenly Catt's fading and Precario goes low. He starts trying to go for everything with 3 laps to go. They're doing 36-second laps. It will be 2 to go. I don't think they're going to make it home with 1 left. I think they're going to be a lap short, and now the elbows are definitely going to have to be out here between them, because they are going to know we're 1 lap short. Precario makes it 3 wide because he knows they're going to be 1 lap short. He tries to find a line. At the moment, he's not finding anything at the moment. It's Malocas who holds on, and now they're 3 wide for second. Exactly what Malocas needs. Will Cruz make it 4? Will Cruz make it 4? No, he won't. But again, outside line looking. White flag in the air. This will be the final lap. No ifs, no buts, no ands. Mistake from Brian Doyle. He will go high side, and there will be nothing left for him. Now 3 and 4. Anthony Catt is best placed. He's picking up the draft from Paul Malocas, who goes defensive low line, trying to save this one off. He's done so well on that bottom, trying to save everything up, but Catt's going to push him every step of the way. It's a drag race now to the line, and who's going to get it? It's so close, but I think it may just have to come down to a photo finish, and I think Malocas is short. Malocas was short because Anthony Catt has got himself his first 2K World Cup victory, and it's come at New Hampshire Motor Speedway by 33 thousandths of a second. We were 1 lap short of 70, but what a win for Anthony Catt as he crosses the line. And let's get classified results. What a finish here at New Hampshire. Anthony Cat, 55 minutes, 7 seconds, picks it up by 33 thousandths on the line, ahead of Paul Malokas, who had control for the final stint. Andrew Picario will get third ahead of Martin Cruz in fourth, with Neil Kemp in fifth and Ronan Griffin sixth position. Brian Duell fades to seventh after being on the outside on the final lap. Eighth place goes to Sebastian Schultz, who was the last driver within a second. Sasha Gall gets ninth and Edwin Viorino rounds out the top 10. Simon Edwards gets 11th in the end with Adrian Hendy up and down bay in 12th. Andrea Iman 13th, John Morgan 14th. 15th position went to Christopher Crome with Kurt Crum 16th. Matthew Woollett will get 17th with Justin Tipton in 18th and Rob Adams in 19th. Tuan Tran 20th, not what was wanted. Philippe Lebert pulls it off in 21st. His day all done, and we'll have to use this as a drop. Mehdi El Fati, Scott Billett, Enzo Cantor, Carl Dronke, and Toya Harrison Bingham, Colin Van Raam, and John Sully will not finish this event. But stay with us here on the iRacing Esports Network, because we will have post-race coverage coming to you from what was some great racing here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Don't go away. Well, it all went to plan in terms of some drivers' races. For others, it didn't, but what a finish to a race which went 1 lap shorter. It went to tie, and how close they were, 7 seconds off of getting all 70 laps completed. But it's a new winner for Anthony Cat, as he now gets to taste the champagne for the first time in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. But with me at the moment, though, is a driver who will not be tasting champagne, someone who tastes it so often. It's Philippe Lebert joining us here in the commentary booth. Philippe, a tough day at the office then. You had yourself right up at the front of the field to begin with, spinned it with 5 laps to go in the grass, and that wasn't part of the plan. It's 21st, and it's not many points, so a drop week surely.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was looking good. I did mess up my start. Andrew got me, and it's so hard to pass here because on the inside you lose so much momentum. So I only had 1 lap in the lead for extra points, so that didn't count. And then I messed up my strategy together with my teammates. We were debating if we were going to follow Brian and Andrew and Anthony in the pits, but we thought we wouldn't make it on fuel, and that was obviously wrong. So we ended up in the middle of the pack, and where all the I was going to say a word, but the bad things happened. So we got, both Tuan and I got caught up in a big crash, and that was it. I got the black flag after that because I didn't know where I was, so I started passing people that I wasn't supposed to, and well, it was fun, but it's a day to forget.
Well, a very frustrating day for you, but you now have to turn your sights into something a little bit more positive. You've got Sebring in 2 weeks' time. We're starting to hit the road to Monza, the stretch home now in the second half of the season. A first half of your season which has seen you have 3 pole positions and 3 victories to boot. First time, I think, that you haven't been able to convert one this season into a race victory, but it is oval racing, so it's a little bit different. How are your prospects feeling into the second half of the season?
Well, it's looking good. I have a lot of points, and so I can afford to lose some more points, but still I want to at least finish in the top 3 every race and hopefully win a few and wrap up the championship. That's my goal this year, so I'll do my best.
And your best you will certainly do. Philippe Lebert gets 21st position after all that has just gone on. But unfortunately, that's all we're going to have time for here on the iRacing Esports Network. A massive thanks to everyone that gets it done for us. Firstly, to Antwerp Designs, the official graphics partners here at RaceSpot TV, along with ATVO and Apgeneer, the official graphics engine. Live timing and scoring was brought to you by Nick Thyssen, with, of course, Istvan Ballo's Track Cams 22. Make sure you check them out, as well as animations by Simon Grossman. Well, in 2 weeks' time, we head to Sebring, a track which has seen so much action over the course of today and yesterday as well. But it is Anthony Katz who will get to smile as he gets his first victory in the 2K World Cup. And when that shoulder is off of you, when you get the hump off your shoulder, I should say, it's all absolutely glorious. He will enjoy this race win. It's his second win, sorry, so I will correct myself. He'll be very happy to get a second win and get himself moving forward. But for the time being, that's all we've got here on the iRacing Esports Network. We will see you very soon with more action all throughout Week 13.